So I want to talk a little bit about aromatic nomenclature. We're going to start talking about aromatic reactions, and we have to be able to have a way of talking about the different types of aromatic systems that we're going to be looking at. If we have monosubstituted benzene systems, so here we just have benzene on its own, but there's an awful lot of common names that are associated with monosubstituted benzene systems. So if we have a methyl group on here, this is known as a toluene system. If we have a vinyl group that's attached here, this is a styrene system. There's some other ones that we've seen before too. A hydroxyl attached to our benzene ring. We know this to be a phenol system. If we have an amine that's attached, this is aniline. If we have an aldehyde, this is benzaldehyde. If we have a carboxylic acid, this is benzoic acid. And if we have a methoxy group attached on here, we're going to call this anisole. So these are some common names that we should be familiar with in terms of monosubstituted benzene rings. It's important to know these names because we're going to be using these as special parent names for some other molecules that we see. If we have a di-substituted benzene system, there's some nomenclature that we need to be aware of in these cases as well. And we've already seen these names before. If we have a 1-2 relationship between the groups, we would say that those two groups are ortho to each other. And we can use this ortho designation at the front of our name. If we have a 1-2-3, a 1-3 relationship, we're going to say that those groups are meta to one another. We can use this meta designation at the front of our structure. And if we have a 1-2-3-4 designation, so a 1-4 relationship, we're going to say that those are para to one another. And we can use this para designation on our structure. So let's take a look at some names of some di-substituted compounds. Show some structures and see if we can come up with some names for these. So here we have a bromine and we have a methyl group attached to our benzene system. Now, the methyl attached to our benzene system, this is one of our special parent names. So this ring system here is going to give us a toluene. So we're going to use that as our parent name. And we have a bromine that is in this 1-2-3. It's a 1-3 relationship, so that's the meta. So the name that we're going to have for this is meta-bromo-toluene. So the meta is telling us the relationship between the bromine and the methyl group that is part of that toluene parent name. Look at another system. In this case, we have 2 chlorines attached to our benzene system. Now we don't have one of these special parent names, so we're going to use benzene as our parent in this case. And we have 2 chlorines, so this is going to be a dichloro. And we have a 1-2-3-4, a 1-4 relationship, so that's a para relationship. So this is going to be para dichlorobenzene. Now let's see what happens when we add a third or a fourth substituent onto our ring system. If we have a poly-substituted benzene system, we're no longer going to be using the ortho, the meta, or the para designation. We can talk about the relationship of two groups being ortho, meta, and para to one another, but when we name this formally, we're not going to be using these designations. We always want to make sure that we're going to be using any special parent that's there If there isn't one, then we're going to be using the benzene. So let's take a look at some examples here. So we have something like this. We do have a parent name. So this is a phenol. And when we number this, we're going to be numbering this based on that parent name, if we have a special parent name. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a nitro group at the 3 and the 4 position. So we have a 3,4 dinitrophenol. So 3,4 dinitrophenol. That's how we would name that one. We've got another example. So here we have 3 different groups, but again, we're able to identify one of these special names. So this is an anisole as our parent chain. We start numbering from that anisole. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a bromine at the 2 position and a nitro group at the 4 position. So the bromo in our name is going to come first. So in this case, we have a 2 bromo 4 nitro anisole. If we don't have one of these special parent names, we're just going to use benzene as our base. So if we take a look at something like this, so here we have a benzene ring with 2 bromines and a chlorine, and here we would number to try to get the lowest numbers possible. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the parent name in this case is going to be from that benzene. And we have a 1, 2 dibromo and a 4 chloro. So 1, 2 dibromo, 4 chlorobenzene. So hopefully this will help you get started on some of the nomenclature problems in the text, so we know how to name these different aromatic substitutions.